As promised, Gilas-Pilipinas head coach Chot Reyes joins us in the studio tonight as we talk about their latest stint in the FIBA Asia Cup in Wuhan, China, and their preparations for the FIBA World Cup in Spain. Coach Chot, welcome back to the Solar Sports Desk.
Good evening, Gino. Good evening, Chef.
And thank you for joining us the night before you leave.
Yes,
my
for
pleasure.
training camp.
Very big that you're here right before you leave. Let's talk about Wuhan. Obviously, in Wuhan, you tried out a lot of the different players, the younger guys, the cadets as well. And then I remember before the trip, you also told me that what was really important, and I asked this from everyone that I've talked to, what's really important is outside of the basketball type of things, you want to get used to the daily, how it's like to be in that kind of environment, being on the road, being away from home, and what it's like to be with the team. Your perspective and how that worked out for you in Wuhan.
Well, first of all, we have to remember that it's been almost a year, 11 months to be exact, since the FIBA Asia. Because FIBA Asia ended, August 11? We left on July 11. So it was exactly 11 months. So that's a long time to be away from the international game. So our players have been with their mother teams playing PBA basketball for almost 1 year. And it was very, very important for them to unlearn again all the habits and all the things that they were doing with their mother teams and how they play defense. In the PBA, you can grapple, you can hold. It's legal. In FIBA, that's not the case. The traveling is different, violation is different, and the pace of the game is very different. FIBA is only 40 minutes, but it's 40 hard minutes as against the regular PBA pace. So those were things that I thought were very important for our players to relearn and get reacquainted with. So that was very important for us. And secondly, like you said, aside from the fact that we had to take a look at some new players, we also had to get them, and it had nothing to do really with basketball. It was to get them acclimatized and acquainted with how to play international tournaments. You know, wake up in the morning, shoot breakfast, shoot around, lunch together, rest, leave for the game, film viewing before dinner. And then the same thing every day. So that there's a certain rhythm in every tournament that you have to get used to. And these guys are so unused to it in the PBA. They don't have anything like that, especially the new guys for whom this was a new experience. So those were the important things for us.
Well, Coach, you have your own methods of making the team gel together. I mean, back then you had a painting, I don't know, whatever quotes you used. What did you do this time around, especially with the new guys coming in?
Well, we had very short time to do these things in Wuhan. We had 1 week of practice only. So, and then we didn't even have Bo and Paul until, we just saw them in the plane the morning that we left. So there was very little time to do anything before Wuhan. But in Wuhan, I think the schedule basically took care of the bonding. It was really the team building part, just to be together all the time, having three breakfast, lunch, and dinner together. That was already part of it. We will be able to do a lot more team, specific. Non-basketball team stuff in Miami and in Spain.
Now, you mentioned the new guys joining the team in Wuhan, and it's as we said earlier, we lost one player in Larry. Excuse me. What are you looking for to fill that spot? I know you also told me that you don't know who's going to be in the roster until right before Spain happens, but. What are you looking for now? Now that you know that one of the shooters, wing guys, a long defender is gone.
Well, just very simply, we need Larry's role is a three-point shooter, so we need a three-point shooter at that spot. Everyone who is not yet in the final 12, they're all three-point shooters. Paul Lee, Bo Belga, and Jay Washington, perhaps with the exception of Jared Dillinger, who's more of a slasher. So, like I said, that's why when I say that it's open and I haven't made up my mind, I'm not being cute, I'm not being coy. It's God's honest truth. I haven't made up my mind. I really don't know. If you go by the performance in Wuhan, people are wont to say that it's, of course, Paul Lee, be the way he played. But, again, that's not a wash because at that spot, we need size.
Yes.
So JD is 6'5", Jay Wash is 6'7", Bo Belga is 6'5", 6'6", so they have the size. But we always have a balancing act here. yes, we're playing against bigger opponents. So we, you know, intellectually you'll think that you need to be quicker, to be bigger.
Yes.
But when we go bigger, we will lose our one advantage, which is quickness, and that's speed. So I think no matter who we put there, we're still not going to approximate the size of the other teams. So we have to balance that off and take a look. We want to improve our size and our ceiling, but at what expense? We cannot lose the one thing that we have an advantage over, which is our quickness. So it's that, you know, I just, for you to be able to appreciate how difficult our task is going to be. It's not a simple, basketball for me is not a linear equation. It's not one guy comes out, you get one guy, 5 points per game comes out, 5 points per game. That's not the case. Or I beat you by 10 points, you beat him by 10 points, therefore I should beat you by 20. We all know that's not the case.
Yes.
It's not linear. So it's so dynamic that there's so many variables that you have to factor in.
Speaking of new variables, when you get to Miami, you're finally going to practice with Andre Blatch.
Yes.
And of course, we know Marcus Douthit will definitely be fighting for that spot. Even Ranidel said last night that everyone's expecting this to be an all-out. I don't know what it's. I don't want to call it a war, but
a friendly. They know each other from
friendly war, whatever that is.
Yeah.
But how do you see this training camp going, especially with the addition of Andre? Finally,
it's going to be very, very interesting. It's going to be very hard. You know, to say that our training camps is difficult is an understatement. It's brutal, and the players will attest to. This is basically our Lithuania last year. You know. It wasn't really 2 a days, it was more 3 a days, you know. 3 a days on the court or in the weight room. If you factor in our team building activities and our film sessions and our meetings, it's really a lot more than that. So the one thing I can say about Miami is it's going to be brutal in the schedule itself and what we are going to do. There's also it's going to be brutal in the competition because these guys, you know, I always love to say that we are brothers before we are even teammates. This team is family before they are even teammates. But part of that is they all understand that they owe it to each other and to the team to put their best. And whoever gets the final nod, that's whoever is going, and everyone is prepared for that, including Marcus. Remember, Marcus testified on Andre's behalf in the Senate hearings, in the Congress. So he was there as a resource person to say that, you know, to speak in behalf of, you know, how good his experience was and to also vouch for Andre. So that gives you an idea of the kind of person he is. And there's no doubt about it. There's no doubt about his ability and his skill. It's only because we're playing in the World Championships that we want to improve our team. We want to get bigger, we want to get better, we want to get stronger. Andre is bigger than Marcus. He's younger than Marcus, which means the propensity for injury is less than if it were Marcus. But is he going to be better for the team? Is he going to be an upgrade for the team? That remains to be seen. We have to see that in the on the floor when we work out in Miami and in our tune-up games in Europe.
All right. More from Coach Chot when we return. This is the Solar Sports Desk. Keep it here. We're still here with Gilas-Pilipinas head coach Chot Reyes. Coach, of course, before the break, we were talking about Marcus and Andre Blatch. And of course, a lot of people, we already asked you this before, but how much has changed in the sense that people are still asking if Andre will play as a Filipino? I mean, he's naturalized, yes, but with the heart of a Filipino?
Well, that's always a variable, you know, that we'll never really know until, you know, we really know. And that was the same question they had about Marcus at the start, you know, when before anyone knew him in his first stint here, that was the same question people were asking about Marcus. And you'll never really know until you see them actually on the court and off the court with their players. But just offhand, from from my personal knowledge of him and our discussions, he seems excited. He seems ready. So hopefully he puts all out and he puts all heart into his game.
Now,
just like Marcus.
Speaking of Andre, how often has the communication been since he was here last, between you or at least members of the staff?
Well,
of the team?
not too much, because remember we left for
Yeah.
Wuhan, and then we came back, and then now a few days later we're leaving right away. We were in constant communication during his process. Of course, when we talked to him first, and we asked him to come and had him apply for his papers, there was a lot of communication, and even throughout the process. But since then, not too much, because he's also busy now, trying to get finding a new team in the NBA. So we're gonna catch up a lot, really, in Miami.
Well, of course, Coach, you also have the unenviable task of choosing from several guards. You have Jimmy Alapag, the leader. You have Jason Castro, the best point guard in Asia from 2013. And then now you have Paul Lee.
You have LA, the hero of the
Tenorio.
Jones Cup.
And how, Coach, how?
Are you worried about that? Are you worried about the guard, the backcourt? It's kind of deep, but also kind of not too like you said, we're not that tall in the backcourt.
Yes. Well, I think it's a better problem than not having anyone to choose from.
Yes.
So I think it's a better problem. It's a good problem to have. But of course, I'm worried about the size. But like I said, in the end, we have to put in the players who will play our system best and who will play best together, almost regardless of size. We'd love to have bigger guards. We'd love to have the others that we have here in the PBA, but you all know the situation. A lot. We called all of them, and they didn't all come. So we're really left with no choice. So I think in the end, it was a blessing in disguise that we ended up with those 3 guards, because you see how they played in the FIBA Asia. So again, the World Cup is going to be a different competition altogether. But after that, there's still the Asian Games. So those are among the things that are factoring into the decision.
Before leaving for this trip, I mean, the whole team's going to be gone for a long period of time, starting tomorrow. What kind of preparations, not just in terms of going there in terms of basketball, but also does one player need to have before leaving the home country and going on a long mission like this?
Wow, I think this is really going to be our toughest trip, because this is the first time that we're going to be gone for a long continuous period, like 45 days. Unlike before, we went to Lithuania for 20 days, came back, then we went to New Zealand, and then we played here. So that was not too much of an issue. Now it's going to be all throughout, and the earliest we'll be back is, I think, September 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So that's almost like 45 days. So the only thing I kept telling the players is to spend as much time as they can with their families, and make use of the time with their kids, and do everything that they need to do, because they're going to be gone. They're going to be gone for a long time. That's easier said than done. Remember, most of us, we were 10 days in Wuhan, 3 days here, then leave again. But that's all part of the sacrifice. We talked about it a lot in Wuhan. That's all part of the sacrifice. Everybody knew as far back as 6 months, 7 months ago. I already told them to expect this. So it's been on everybody's minds. But of course, here is the actual.
Yeah, it's here.
Here's the actual thing. And you know how it is when we're on the road. It's really the loneliness.
Yes.
The homesickness, which really gets to a lot of us. So but hopefully, that's just going to make us stronger as a team.
Let's talk about the younger guys that we've seen mature from FIBA Asia to the PBA to Wuhan. We have Jun Mar Fajardo, who was the silent guy on your bench in FIBA Asia, and all of a sudden he becomes the MVP in the PBA. And now he's going to be training with you guys again in Miami. And of course, we have Japeth, who had his own, version of drama in the sense with you.
Even before FIBA.
Before FIBA.
Before FIBA Asia.
And then we see him just becoming Japeth, the Japeth that everyone was expecting to see. How much of this was your doing, and how much of this was due to the exposure in FIBA and going back to the PBA?
I don't think any of that is my doing at all. There was just one thing I promised every player when we started this whole thing in 2012. I said, You know, I cannot promise if you'll make the lineup. I cannot promise if you will be in the final 12 and play in the FIBA Asia. The only thing I can promise you is you will be all become better players and individuals. That was my commitment and my promise. And even now, when I talk to Jay Wash and Paul Lee and JD to come and join us, again, I cannot promise you a slot. I cannot even promise if we can bring you to our trips or whatever. But I promise you, after this experience, you'll be a better player and you'll be a better individual. And I think the proof of all of this was what happened in the last PBA. The three best players of the conference were all Gilas players. It was Ranidel, Jun Mar, Jason, and Jun Mar, who, like you said, was on the bench, ended up being the MVP. And not only them, Pingris came back a different player. Japet came back a different player. Gabe and Jason led Talk and Text in scoring. You know, every single guy, Ranidel, every single guy came back a better player and a better individual. And, you know, it's not me. It's just, this is what these kind of experiences does to you. You know, if you do it well, as long as you engage, if you put in your whole heart and soul into the process, then before you know it, you know, Jun Mar is forever grateful. Even in one of the things you were asking what we were doing in Wuhan as a team building, and I forgot to mention, every evening we were watching Kwentong Gilas. So one of the episodes was the Junemar Fajardo story. And when when his mother was talking, Junemar Fajardo says, "Naiiyak ako," sabi ni Junmar. And he was just very down to earth, very humble, and at the end, I make them speak. So at the end of his Kwentong Gilas, Junmar song, Junmar, what can you say? Sabi niya, "I'm just humbled, nagpapasalamat lang ako for this opportunity. Akalain mo, nung dati nandun na ako sa bukid, and then ngayon, nandito na ako, and nag-MVP ako, hindi ko nga alam paano yan nangyari." So sabi niya, it's the kind of, you know, when you're put into the crucible of difficulty, and it's really, really hard, and you still find a way to soldier through and get it done, it just does wonders for you as a person. It does wonders to your confidence, and more often than not, it shows up on the basketball court. I mean, those guys came back different players.
You know, Junmar specifically, his game, you'd think would be really more fitting for the PBA or the pro type of game. Here in FIBA, when you have the dribble drive and a lot of kicking out to the shooters, how do you think they're going to use Junmar now that he's improved a lot since his FIBA Asia?
Well, one of the key things for us in choosing Andre was that because of Andre's ability to shoot from deep, because of his range, because of his ability to play forward, he can play with Junmar. So in my mind, by choosing Andre, I'm giving Junmar a better chance to see minutes. But you are right, Junmar is really in between. He's big for the PBA, but he's not big enough to be a big man in FIBA, in international competition. And he doesn't have, for his size, 6'9", 6'10", he doesn't have the outside shooting to be a spread four.
Yeah.
Just like the people of his own. So he is really caught in between in the international game. So that's really going to be a huge challenge for him. And that's where we will, like, you know, we play him against Haddadi. He's 7'4", Junmar is 6'10". We play him against the 7'2" guy of Jordan. He gives up 4 inches and 30, 40 pounds. And he's gonna be going up against Saric and all those guys. And he cannot guard a Scola.
Yeah.
Because Scola steps out, shoots the 3-point, and he's just as tall as him. So he's in a peculiar situation where it's really difficult for him. And that's why for us with Junmar, every single day, every single game, I check in on him. Kumusta ka, Junmar? How are you doing? Wow, you know, it's always that same thing. Because for me, if I just keep on working on him, if we just keep on, you know, putting in little things here and there, he will finally become, you know, a player that we can really use for long periods of time for Gilas. Because I sincerely believe that the future of Philippine basketball is Junmar, Japet, and Greg. Right. So, you know, we've got to get, he has to develop very quickly for international competition. The problem is he plays the whole year in the PBA.
Yeah.
And the PBA game is so different from what his role is in the international game. So that's really the disconnect and the challenge for Jun Mar and for us in the national team.
All right. Well, we're going to be having more of Coach Chot when we return. This is the Solar Sports Desk. Keep it here. You're still tuned into the Solar Sports Desk, and of course in the studio with us, Coach Chot Reyes, who is leaving with Gilas-Pilipinas for training camp in Miami tomorrow. Coach, before you leave, what are some of the, I guess, things that you can tell us what to expect in Miami once you guys touch down? Outside of the basketball, we all know that now you said three times a week. The practices are going to be. What else can we?
Well, we're going to be in a wonderful facility,
Yeah.
the JW Marriott. It will already have it has a gym. It has a basketball gym, so we're not going to be traveling, moving, so it's going to be contained there. They have a weights facility and all that. We've made arrangements with the University of Miami Hurricanes to play a tune-up couple games. So, those are the things that we expect. But other than that, really, it's going to be. This is really the time when the team is going to be formed. The bonds and really the connections are going to be bolstered and reinforced, and new connections are going to be made with Andre, with Paul, all these guys.
Well, Coach, you also have a wonderful coaching staff with you. And of course, they helped a lot as well in FIBA
yeah.
Asia.
Yeah.
And now, of course, they also have, you delegate certain roles to certain coaches. And has anything changed from FIBA Asia to this period of time?
Oh, not really. We still have the same coaching staff. Tab Baldwin is already there. In fact, he has a sister in Jacksonville, so he's going to drive down to join us when we get to Miami. And then when we get to Spain, there's going to be a Spanish coach who's going to be working with us. He was the coach of the Ivory Coast when I scouted the FIBA Africas, and he's the Africa expert. So I asked his help as well.
Okay.
So we've got Tab Baldwin coached in Europe for quite a while. He's been to the He's been to 2 World Championships and 1 Olympics. So he knows what's going on. So we're going to tap into that wealth of experience, into Coach Nacho Lescano experience. Hopefully Coach Spo can join us or can visit us in Miami as well. But me as a coach, I'm very open about these things. And same thing with my assistant coaches. They get a lot of things done. I delegate a lot of things to them, and we wouldn't be successful without them.
Now let's talk about the group stages. It's a tough group, perhaps the second toughest group in the entire tournament.
We saw your face at the door.
Obviously, what are your thoughts? This is a very tough group to be in. It's the first time the Philippines has been in 40 years. But hey, you take it, right? I mean, this is it. This is the cards on the table. Let's go.
I think the group that we ended up in is symbolic, really, of our journey here at Gilas, of how difficult it was to even get here. From the start, all the battles we had to fight to get the players we wanted, to get the time we wanted from the league, to be able to join the tournaments we wanted, to battle through the injuries, and all throughout. I mean, every single step for us has been a battle. So even the last practice, the preparation for Wuhan, we didn't have Paul and Bo until the day that we were leaving. There's never one easy step. There's never been one smooth part of the journey here in Gilas. And the group stage is just, like I said, representative of all we've been through. So I would be really surprised if we had ended up in an easy group, given what we went through. So it's just an extension of it, of how hard our journey has been, and now that we've reached the quote unquote the apex, or the peak of that journey, of course it's going to be the hardest ever that we're going to see. My firm belief is that never is our team stronger than when we are tested, and here we're going to be tested. We're going to be severely tested, and hopefully we'll be a lot stronger as a result for future competitions, for the Asian Games, for the FIBA Asia next year. A lot of people are saying, yung Iran, di natin matalo-talo. And I always say, we will beat Iran when the time is right, when we need to. And hopefully that's FIBA Asia next year, when we need to win the gold to go to the 2016 Olympics.
Ooh.
So that's the whole picture. That's the whole vision. So, you know.
Vision board.
Yeah,
time.
so the
Vision
World
board.
Cup, our group there is just part of that difficult journey. And if we come out of it unscathed, stronger, battered, wounded, but still with our team intact, then I think the World Cup would have served its purpose of really making us stronger. Make no mistake about it, we're going to do our damn best, or we're going to die trying to get to the second round. And you know, that's the only thing I can offer our countrymen and the nation, that you know we're going to die trying.
All right.
All right. Well, Coach, of course, Gilas has gone through a lot of struggles on the court, even off the court. You guys were supposed to have this big send-off. Obviously, things didn't work out the way they did, but there is still an outpour of support from every single Filipino out there who wants to see you do well. Because this is everyone knows, this is our team, para sa bayan, para sa even para sa Gilas. And of course, a lot of people out there just want to know your sentiments, if you have any messages for them before you leave.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's to both of you. The reason I'm here tonight is because you have come out really in support of me personally, and I want to shake your hand and thank you.
Thank you.
Because that's why I am here. Secondly, it's to our management, really, MVP, everyone behind the team, Ricky Vargas, Pato Gregorio, Al Panlilios, Executive Director Sunny Barrios, my boss in TV5, Noel Lorenzana. You know, while I'm gone, there's a lot of things that I'm leaving behind in work, but you know, the entire Sports 5 crew is going to be there. My people, Vito Lasatin and all of those guys, they're going to pitch in and do my work in my absence. I say huge gratitude to them. To the Filipino people, sa ating mga kababayan, nakakataba po ng puso ang inyong suporta sa amin. Alam namin, malayo kami, but you can be sure that we're going to hear your cheers. We're going to feel your prayer. We're going to feel your support, no matter how far we are. And I always like to say, you know, when you try for great things, there is always a possibility of great failure. But we would rather always try than not try at all. And this is going to be one hell of a try for Gilas-Pilipinas. We are going to be tested. We're going to be severely tested. We count on your support. We count on your cheers. We may not win all of our games in Spain, but in spite of that, all we can do is pray that you continue cheering for us, especially our players, because the sacrifice that they're going through, ang sakripisyong ginagawa nila para sa bayan natin is really no joke. And I say that from the bottom of my heart. And I love, and I'm privileged to lead this team to battle. And I love being a Filipino. I love calling myself Pinoy, like all of you watching tonight. Ito pong laban, hindi po lang ito laban ng Gilas, laban po nating lahat, laban ng Pilipinas.
I'm already about to cry, so Gino's probably sobbing inside already. So thank you so
Coach.
much, Coach.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
My
for joining
pleasure.
us here
Thanks
tonight.
for
And of
inviting-
course,
thanks for
prayers
having
are always with you, and of course, Gilas-Pilipinas.